liberty and justice for all. We're now going to public hearing. Few items, please turn off your cell phones. Bathroom is through the door and down the hall. Applicant will be given 30 minutes to present their application. The applicant will be advised when 5 minutes and 2 minutes is left. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to address the planning commission. The time will be strictly enforced. Each speaker will be advised when 2 minutes and when 3 minutes has elapsed. Each speaker will be permitted to address the planning commission only once and not transfer the 3 minutes to another speaker. Speakers should face the planning commission and address all comments to the planning commission. The planning commission asks that everyone at the meeting be respectful to others who are present and asks that those present not to applaud speakers. As a reminder, it is inappropriate at the public meeting to make personal attacks, to be defamatory or disparage individuals or identifiable groups. Profanity will not be tolerated. Prior to beginning your comments, please state your name and address for the record. All right, first item on our agenda tonight.
I'll see if anybody else needs to sign up.
Does anyone else need to sign up before we get started if they would like to speak? All right. Yes, ma'am.
What if you decide you want to speak after you hear something? Can you do it then?
Gotta sign up.
No, you got to sign up now. If you,
So what if I sign up and I decide I don't want to speak?
then you don't have to. Okay. First item on our agenda tonight, the Mecklenburg County Zoning Office has received an application by Paul Jackson and Barry Greer to amend the Mecklenburg County Zoning Ordinance, Article 6, Business B1, Section 6-1, Use Regulation to allow truck pulls and demolition derbies by special exception. This property is zoned industrial M1 and is located on the west side of Route 785 Johnville Road, approximately 631 feet north of its intersection with Willow Oak Drive. This is in Election District 7. Is anyone here to speak?
No, sir.
Okay. No one speaking on this application? For?
For nor against.
For nor against. Did we have any other
No
calls?
No phone calls, no emails.
All right. Is there any discussion? This is, of course, across from the fire training grounds. It's in Chase City now, where they do their, they did a rodeo there this time. They do bike thing there every year, so they carry on that sort of thing in that area already. Just to kind of let you know where it's at. Any discussion? Do I hear a motion on this application?
I'll make a motion to approve it. By adding this text amendment to Business B1, it would allow for other uses on the property that's not allowed in industrial M1.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Raymond. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Next item on our agenda tonight, the Mecklenburg County Planning Commission will hold a public hearing to adopt the 2044 Comprehensive Plan. A copy of the plan may be reviewed in the zoning director's office in Boarding between the hours of 9 and 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, except holidays. And we have,
This is Rachel from 3TP. She's gonna do a presentation on the comp plan.
okay.
See if I can get, there we go. All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Rachel Falkenstein. I'm with the firm 3TP Ventures. The county has hired to support the comprehensive plan update. I'm here tonight to present the final draft of the plan for your consideration and recommendation for the board to consider. So I'm going to be pretty brief in my remarks this evening, since this has been a year-long process. You all have had an opportunity, hopefully, to read the plan by now and share comments with us. So I'll just give a brief overview of the process and the final plan. I'm going to go over quickly some recent plan revisions that have been made since you all received the October draft, just so you know what we're asking you to act on this evening. You'll have time for your public hearing and questions for me or Robert, and then a motion at the end of the process. So real quickly, I'm going to go over the process we did to update the plan, and then a few quick highlights of the plan itself. As you recall, we had a 4-phase process. It took about a year. We kicked off in the fall of last year and are wrapping up. We're planning to wrap up with the Board of Supervisors next week, hopefully, if things go well. Our plan format is 2 volumes. Volume 1 is the comprehensive plan itself. This is the forward-looking vision for the county. And then Volume 2, we're calling Mecklenburg County Community Story. This is a background report. It has data and demographic information, maps, some existing condition analysis. It has a summary of engagement, as well as population projections. So I'm just going to go through the key elements of the plan quickly. This is your vision. This is where we started. We worked with the community and with you all to develop an overarching vision to guide our work. It has 5 vision elements that are carried throughout the plan. Part 2 of the plan goes into future land use and has an overarching framework for how we recommend the county think about land use moving forward, directing most of the future growth into the communities that already exist, the county's towns, as well as the areas adjacent to towns, and then investing in infrastructure to support growth in those areas. And then on the flip side of that, protecting your rural resources from converting farms and forests to other uses. Along with that, we have a future land use plan that has a series of land uses mapped out on the county, and we've gone through this in detail, so I'm not going to talk about what each of these mean this evening, but I will be available for questions if you have them. But as you see, we're directing growth adjacent to the towns where utilities and infrastructure will be available to support that growth. The purple areas are your industrial areas. These are combined to areas that are existing industrial parks or have proposed industrial development already on these sites. It was the directive of the board to not have additional industrial growth spread out into the rural areas, but keep it confined to areas where it's already proposed or existing. Then we move on to a transportation section. This is where we compile a lot of existing work that has already been done in the county planning for transportation. We pull in your long-range transportation plan, your regional active transportation plan, and we identify some key priorities for you all to focus on, while still acknowledging that all of the projects that have been identified are important, but these would be the priorities focused on improving safety of the streets and improving opportunities for getting around outside of a personal vehicle, so on a bike or by walking or by transit. And then last section of the plan is our implementation section. We identify a series of actions that to support each of the vision elements we identify. And then we identify 7 what we call catalyst projects. These are overarching priorities, things that have risen to the top that are most important to the community that we heard through engagement or we heard from you all and the Board of Supervisors to support some important needs of the community. And these are described in more detail in Part 4 of the plan. Now I want to talk quickly about some recent plan revisions so you all are aware of what changes have been made since the draft you received in October, so you know what you're acting on this evening. I'm going to go through these fairly quickly, but if there are questions or you want to see them in the plan, I can pull them up and show you where the change is and what it was. So first to the, this should actually say Volume 2, sorry for the error. To the Community Story Volume 2, just one small change. We had the wrong date for Clarksville Incorporation and we updated their town logo. Now into Volume 1, Part 1, we had a change to one of the vision elements about we previously had language about seniors and youth. We just removed that language and said residents of all ages and backgrounds to not call out specific age groups. In the land use section, we made some layout changes. We changed the order to put the land use framework up front before the future land use plan. We added a chart to that future land use plan showing percentages and acreages of each land use category. We had some changes to the design guidance of some of the land use categories, like area residential. We incorporated Army Corps and Dominion requirements. Those are already existing requirements. For rural crossroads, we acknowledge that all sidewalks that are built should meet VDOT standards for acceptance. For protected lands, we called attention to the need to clean the shores of fallen logs from the lakes. We added a reference to federal housing programs in the section about housing. We added a section that highlighted the ties between land use, outdoor recreation, and historic preservation and housing. And then lastly, we added a goal, or we added language to the shared goal about Clarksville and the cleanup of the shoreline in that area. Moving on to transportation, again, this section had some layout changes. We moved the priorities section a little bit closer to the front of the transportation part of the chapter, and we rearranged a few pages so that maps and tables were in a different sequence. We added an image of a precedent that the county can consider from Halifax County with a rural pedestrian shoulder on one of the streets in Halifax. We added reference to the Tobacco Heritage Trail when we talked about the Raleigh to Richmond station location in La Crosse. We added reference to funding sources for that project as well. And then we added some more justification as to why we recommended the priorities that we did to highlight safety and bike ped projects over other county street projects. And then lastly, in the implementation section, we added one new action to the list of actions about leveraging federal housing program funds to rehabilitate housing stock. We updated one of the goals in the thriving business environment to be more broad about diversifying the county's economic base. And we updated two other actions. The first one, we added a reference to adding structures to the national and state historic registers. And the other updated action called out support for local Main Street programs. I know that was quite a bit fairly quickly. If you have any questions, I'm available and we can talk through this further. I'm also here to answer other questions or hear any suggested changes you all may have. When you're ready for a motion, we're recommending that the commission can make a motion to recommend the board adopt the plan as drafted with the date of November 20th, 2024. That incorporates the changes that I summarized today. So that's all of my remarks. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Rachel, I assume your group, I know y'all's group have done a lot of these studies beforehand and all. So what do you think on the participation of the citizens and the communities? Do you think that was, compared to other ones, do you think we had pretty good participation and stuff on this?
Yeah, I think we had great participation when we came out and did engagement in several of the towns, as well as Bracy. We had people come out. Some were attended better than others. When we were able to tag team on other opportunities, I think that's when we had the best participation. But typically in a process like this, you do see participation really strong in the beginning, and then it starts to kind of fall down as you go. It's a long process, and sometimes people will participate once and they'll feel that's enough. So I was pleased with it. We did some online surveys as well. We had a really strong participation rate from your student population, your middle school and high school population, as well as the first community survey we did. We had a couple hundred people participate. So I thought it was fairly well attended throughout.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, we don't want to speak.
All right. Anybody else to speak for this?
Laura Hubert.
I'm Lori Huber. I live on Highway 58 in Boynton, and I'm here to share my appreciation of the hard work that was conducted to put together this draft update to the county's comprehensive plan. I want to acknowledge and I understand that a comprehensive plan is not law. It's not an implementing regulation, but it's a guidance document. It's an important document, though. It lays out the guiding principles that the county has come together to publish. So I understand that. In general, I think the draft plan reflects the apparent needs and priorities of the county well. I do, however, think that there's two areas where the coverage is too light and suggest that more details be added. Specifically, and I know you're beginning to get to know that I always go back to this topic, but solar projects are mentioned. Limitations on the types and locations of solar projects are outlined. What is missing is the direction that the county zoning ordinance for solar energy needs to indicate. It needs to be updated and developed to provide much more detail on the requirements and expectations of the county as they pertain to project development. And by this I mean the time and the variety of plans that are required in the existing zoning ordinance rules. It's just a requirement that these plans be developed, but there's not nearly sufficient detail on what the expectations are for the solar project developers to provide in there. There's a little bit, but you can say in your regulation or your requirements, your ordinance, that you expect the flow or the control of sediment during construction or operation be managed. That's in a stormwater management plan, but simply saying that, you can add to that. You can specify, at a minimum, you will this, or that, or the other. The second area where coverage is too light is the presence of plans for additional data centers and associated transmission lines that are installed. There's very little. Microsoft, the company, is mentioned in a few places, but the data centers, the additional data centers, and the transmission lines are very, very lightly covered. Forest removal and impacts to water, which is always a concern when it comes to solar, is not addressed in terms of the data centers and the transmission lines. And honestly, the much greater impact of the data centers is the energy consumption. They are huge, huge consumers of energy. So I request that in the comprehensive plan, these two things be put together, and that data centers are expected specifically to account for the energy that they will be consuming. They're not going to be able to offset it entirely. They can do geothermal. They can do their own little bit of solar. Something has to go. They can be sponsors to put solar panels on the high school.
We'll have to stop.
Okay.
You can go on.
Hospitals, grocery stores, shopping malls.
Thank you.
Joel?
Hello, my name's Joel Cathy. I live in Charlotte County, near Keysville. I own about 168 acres on Haynes Mill Road, just outside of Boydton, and I manage 2,700 acres just east of Chase City. I recently found out about Mecklenburg County's proposed comprehensive plan. Both of the properties I just mentioned, according to the map, will be considered rural conservation. And according to the classification, no development will be allowed. In other words, the development rights to these properties will be taken away. The state of Virginia has been pushing a conservation easement program for several years. Under this program, a landowner can voluntarily sell his development rights by deed. The land is appraised, including its development potential, and then it's appraised again if the land had no development potential. The difference in these two appraisals is the value of the conservation easement, which is paid to the landowner in both federal and state tax credits. If the landowner wishes, he can sell these credits for cash. If Mecklenburg County implements this plan, landowners in these areas will no longer have the option of a conservation easement because the county will have taken away the development value of this land. Is the county going to reimburse the landowners for this taking? Unfortunately, most of the landowners in this county have no idea this is going on. Before something like this is done, all the affected landowners should have been notified by registered mail. If you had, this building wouldn't hold them. It's bad enough for the county to force landowners to give up their development rights, but it's worse for the county to take them without proper payment. I strongly urge you to postpone your vote on this comprehensive plan until all the landowners in this county have been properly notified. Thank you for your time.
Joe Church?
My name is Joe Church from South Hill, Virginia. These people that have spoken already pretty much said about everything I wanted to say. I did draft a letter to the Board of Supervisors about 2 months ago and haven't heard any response from it at all. My concern, of course, is Microsoft is buying up property in this county at an astounding rate. And I would like to see the planning board, zoning board, and the Board of Supervisors stop the onset of any more permitting of Microsoft. That's all I have to say.
Cliff?
Hi, good evening. My name is Cliff Schur, Development Director with Long Road Energy. We are a developer, owner, and operator of energy projects, and we're the developer of Seven Bridges Solar in northwest Mecklenburg County. We own and operate almost 4,000 megawatts of energy projects across the United States. And we've been investing in the development of Seven Bridges Solar since 2017. We've been submitting materials to the county for approval since at least 2020. During that time, we've been actively listening to the community and county officials and proactively making adjustments to our project. We believe strongly that solar projects should be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. Our project team has been responsive to community and county feedback on the location, setbacks from roads and neighbors, road use, and benefits to the surrounding community. Seven Bridges Solar received a 2232 approval from Mecklenburg County in 2022, and we've since committed 250 acres to conservation between the solar project and the South Meherrin River. We've committed a meaningful contribution to the town of Chase City, which is approximately 3 miles from the Seven Bridges Solar project. And we've increased setbacks from nearby roads so that the average distance from Scotts Crossroads is over 1,000 feet. In some areas, the project will be more than 2,000 feet off of Scotts Crossroads. Related to that, you should have all received an invitation to visit Seven Bridges Solar to see the project location and those setbacks firsthand. There's opportunities to visit the project tomorrow, Monday, and we're happy to work with you on your schedules as needed. We believe strongly that solar projects should be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. This comprehensive plan amendment applies a different standard to solar development from all other types of development. We're grateful that the Planning Commission has voted to recommend Seven Bridges Solar be grandfathered from the proposed ordinance change removing solar as a permitted use. And we've been advised that if the comprehensive plan update is approved, that Seven Bridges Solar will also be grandfathered from the changes to the comprehensive plan. We appreciate the opportunity to continue through the process in our submitted special exception permit application. We do remain advocates for solar projects to be considered on a case-by-case basis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Blake?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Blake Cox. I'm from Chesterfield, but I'm one of the founders of a nonprofit called Energy Right. And our whole goal at Energy Right is just bring conservative voice to this clean energy conversation across the Commonwealth. But I'll be brief here tonight. Really, my whole goal is just to encourage you guys to keep in mind the property rights of landowners and their ability to develop their land how they see fit, as long as they aren't negatively affecting their neighbors and their community. With many of the folks I've spoke with here in the county, they are concerned about the large portion of the county going into rural conservation designation and how that may affect their ability to develop their land in the future. But thank you all for your time here tonight. And if Energy Right can ever be a resource, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Monty Hightower?
Ladies and gentlemen of the Planning Commission, Monty Hightower, 247 Autumn Lane, Chase City, Virginia. According to previous comments, the community pop-ups and workshops, when and where were they held? How were they advertised? Never heard anything about them. A lot of people, I don't think anybody in Chase City had heard anything about them. So why didn't we have any time to comment on it? I'm opposed to this ordinance, as well as worded or put up. This is going to put an albatross around the necks of all our descendants that own land. They won't be able to do anything with the land other than to have it as agricultural or conservation. The way it is now, Mecklenburg County has, 400 active farms, was 4,000. The rent income on rented land has probably not changed much in 40 years. Taxes are still going up. If y'all put all this rural conservation in, are y'all going to cut the taxes back? Y'all going to devalue the land? Because this act will devalue the value of the property. I've got land in West Virginia. If I sign up for the rural conservation in that Union County, West Virginia, I get $2,000 cash for every acre I put in, not tax credits that they will expire after a year or two. So Mecklenburg County going to put up cash for all the value of the land they're going to be putting in rural conservation. And one other thing, my land has been in my family for over 150 years, which I'm sure a lot of this other land has been. If we can hold on to it for 150 years, I think we've got a better idea on how to control our land and what goes on it than just a blanket proclamation. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Peter?
Good evening, everyone. Much like our first speaker, Lori, I can definitely appreciate the amount of work, due diligence, and community input that has gone into the comprehensive plan before today. My name is Peter Stelter. I'm a developer at RWE Clean Energy. A little bit about RWE. We are the third largest renewable energy company in the U.S. With over 15 years of experience operating over 200 wind, solar, battery storage projects. I'm here tonight to address the proposed updates to the comprehensive plan itself. specifically the delineation of the rural conservation portion of the county and its permitted uses. RWE works hand in hand in close partnership with landowners who have chosen to host our projects on their land. And in doing so, we develop a relationship of mutual trust and ensure we are good stewards of their land so that when these sites are decommissioned, the land is restored and returned to its previous use. We aim to be good partners to not just our host landowners, but also the project's neighbors and the community itself. As a company, we strongly believe and support the rights of the landowners we partner with to do what they want with their property. Throughout the years, RWE has paid landowners over $426 million. It's a lot of money. This is additional income that allows them to expand and diversify their farms or businesses or homes, pay for their retirement, send their kids to college, list goes on. It is projected that land lease payments to rural landowners hosting panels or turbines will reach over $2.2 billion by 2030. As a temporary land use that requires very little disturbance during operations, choosing to host solar on your farm is a choice to preserve your land for agricultural use well into the future. And that landowner's choice is what is at stake in this proposed comprehensive plan. By classifying private land as rural conservation and not permitting solar as a land use, we are restricting the freedom of landowners within Mecklenburg County to develop their land as they see fit, and denying them the opportunity to earn additional income from their farms and businesses. RWE is active in counties throughout the Commonwealth, and over the years, we have been told no by landowners on more than a few occasions, and that is their right. But essential to upholding the right to say no is allowing the right to say yes to hosting solar on their private land. The comprehensive plan in its current form strips that right from property owners, and we encourage the Planning Commission tonight to revisit the map, defining the majority of county land as rural conservation and to allow solar in its permitted use. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak tonight, and thank you.
Thank you.
Cheryl?
Hi, I'm Cheryl Field. I live on Carter's Lane in Boynton, Virginia. I didn't know about the plan. I don't know where the meetings have been held. I was really glad to see the Mecklenburg Sun publish the meeting notes tonight and say that we had the opportunity to come and hear what was going on. My only comment is I wish there would be a way for us to know. I'm just a homeowner. I don't own any land. I don't have a farm. I'm excited about the rural conservation, but I wish I would have known more about what was going on and that people where I live would have had the opportunity to review the plan and come to a meeting and provide educated comments about it. I just saw it in the paper today, didn't have a chance to read the plan, so I can't really make many comments except that I'm excited about rural conservation, and I just wish there'd be more opportunities to know what's going on with the Planning Commission, with the data centers, the solar farms, rural conservation, and things like that, and where we have the opportunity to provide comments. I don't know if that means sending letters out to people that own homes in the area. I don't know how it comes out today. If it wasn't in the paper, I wouldn't have known. So thanks for the opportunity to come and make comments, and I hope we'll have additional comments in the future.
Thank you.
That's it.
All right, any discussion?
The meetings that they had in all the communities, weren't they advertised?
Yes, sir.
That's what I thought.
My name's on the list to speak.
1 minute. What's your name?
John Muller.
I already called that name. John Mullen, you come speak then. I put a check mark by it.
Please come forward then. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry, if my name's called in.
That's okay.
So my name is John Mullen. I live in Charlotte County. but I'm here tonight on behalf of Mullen Family Holdings, which is a landowner in the Chase City District. The proposed comprehensive plan only became available to the general public in the newspaper recently, barely in time to be glanced at prior to the meetings, the Planning Commission's meeting tonight, and is scheduled to be taken up by the Board of Supervisors next Monday, which is one working day later. This rush to put this through, which is so potentially harmful to those Mecklenburg landowners adversely affected by the rural conservation designation, is, I believe, very unfortunate. In my view, the proposed comprehensive plan sets forth a big brother knows best idea of what will be good for Mecklenburg County citizens and landowners. It's essentially a socialistic concept that tramples on personal property rights of landowners. If implemented, a very substantial portion of Mecklenburg County will be classified as rural conservation, therefore potentially devaluing property values in rural conservation areas by as much as 90%. Under the proposed plan, most types of development would be specifically precluded in approximately 2/3 of Mecklenburg County. This is not just about solar farms or data centers. This is about any type of development that would provide an opportunity for significantly enhanced tax revenue and employment opportunities to Mecklenburg citizens. Moreover, the designation rural conservation, which limits future development, by definition destroys the concept of highest and best use, which is an essential concept to landowners who might want to put their own conservation easement on their own property. I think this is fundamentally unsound and unfair. I urge the Planning Commission to study further the impacts of adopting this plan on the property rights and values of landowners in Mecklenburg, and thank you for the time you've allowed me to express my views.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay. Yes, sir.
The meetings that they had for input were advertised, right?
Yes, sir. It was in the newspaper. It was on the website. I took flyers out to the post office in the areas, the libraries.
And were they well attended? Well,
Yes.
she said they were well attended, right?
Most of them were. Some of them, I recall one in Clarksville, we had, I think, 8 people. That was probably our least attended one. But yeah, I think most of them had at least 15, 20 people, some more. 15 to 20.
Excuse me. We're not going to have any other discussion, please. It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so as Robert said, we did our best to get the word out. It can be challenging because we don't always know where people are getting their information, but we use social media. We put ads in the newspaper, on the radio, the county website. As Robert said, we did some flyers, but it can be difficult to make sure everyone hears. But we used the information resources that we knew of.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Do I hear them?
I just go back to this land conservation. I mean, it's not, we've already said it's not set by law. We're not saying nothing can be done with it. It all still has to go through the same permit processes as always has, right?
Yes, it's just the comp plan
It's
is
just a view.
guide.
I mean, it's
That's
just
all.
a vision.
Right.
None of this land is saying we
Automatic, yeah.
can't, no, you're not gonna ever develop it. If something comes up, you can still go through the same process you always have.
Yes.
I think that's a big confusion of a lot of them that's here tonight. They're thinking the county's saying that you can't do anything with it.
All it is a vision.
Right.
I think when we first started talking about this and listened to some of the public and everything, with the growth we were having, we wanted to kind of say, halt a little bit. I heard it, maybe we got enough of Microsoft stuff, what we may, but part of this, having this plan was to kind of get an idea of retaining our rural part along where and have growth too, and where how it gets spread out and everything like that. So that's all. This plan was to kind of get an idea of that, talk to citizens and stuff, and just kind of get an idea of what the county wants, but retains some of our heritage and rules along the way. But this is not in law that she stated, Rachel stated from the very beginning. This is not law.
All right. Do I hear a motion on this application?
I'll make a motion we approve the comprehensive plan.
As presented on.
As presented.
November the.
For November 20th.
Okay. 24. All right, motion's been made. Second? Second?
Mr. Black, roll call.
Yeah.
Ms. Crowder?
Yes.
Mr. Lasser? Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Brinkley?
Yes.
Ms. Webster?
Yes.
Mr. Arrington?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Ramey?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
And Mr. Crump.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Approval of the minutes for October 31st. Mr. Ramey, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have reviewed the minutes, and I make a motion that we approve the minutes of October 31st, 2024.
All right, motion's been made.
That's second.
Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Administrator, whenever you're ready, sir.
All right, give me just a second. We've been working on the construction traffic management plan for these commercial sites and stuff. Staff and everybody has worked with an attorney, and now we've got a final draft on it, which I presented to y'all sometime back. So we just need to have a motion to take it to public hearing. We need a motion to take it to public hearing.
Okay. All right.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr.
I'll
Ra-
second.
Second by Mr. Ramey. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
I'm still learning too.
That's okay.
Everybody should have a copy of the zoning permit and building report.
Yes, sir.
Any questions on those? Our numbers were down a little bit, but we still got quite a bit of activity going on.
Yeah, they had the door.
You say we're down just a.
The zoning permits was down a little bit, but we're still very active in the county
Okay.
with other projects.
Right.
And that's all I have.
All right. We have a meeting next month?
Yes.
Meeting next month? That's gonna be on
See, January the 9th.
January the 9th.
January the 9th.
At 7 p.m.
Okay. Do I hear a motion we adjourn?
So moved.
Got one more thing.
Yes,
Rob, on a couple subdivisions, I've had calls in the last year or so that, you know, when they did these subdivisions, they had to do a little spot of land for dumpsters.
Called Green Box.
Right, and they were, by whoever was doing it, that landowner donated that land, is that
Yes, sir.
correct? Okay, because I mean, the question is now, is coming up that, you know, those little tracts of land are there, and we're going to these more convenient centers that they may not be needed no more. So the question is, where does that land fall? And you know, my feeling is if they were set aside for dumpsters, then whether we should retain that land to do something else with other than what we made a bargain with could be questionable. What do you think?
With us going to the man sites, I mean, it was brought up to the idea of keeping them for utility sites, but I don't know if any of them that's big enough in the company to do anything bigger than one transformer
Right.
on the ground.
I don't know how the writing is that it was set aside just, and it specifies dumpsters and that's it.
Yes.
I think it would kind of be a little, I mean, personally, I think it'd be a little unfair to go in there and put a utility site or something, or put a tower there now that, you know, that we changed because we said it was gonna be a dumpster.
The original, when I came in the office here, it was in the zoning ordinance that when the subdivision developed, they had to provide a dumpster, what they call it, the green box site, which is basically a dumpster site. Maybe 2 years ago, got with you all, and we had a hearing on it to remove the word dumpster and change it to a utility site, but that's only gonna apply to new subdivisions that are done.
Since the 2 years.
Yes.
Correct. Right.
So anything before that was set aside for a green box dumpster site was done before we made the change, and that's the way it's worded. That's the way it was worded in the subdivision ordinance.
Yeah, I just think maybe we ought to maybe take a look at that between the planning commission and the board. If somebody requests that land, to take a look at it and potentially give it back or whatever, you know. Okay.
That would be a board decision.
Right, okay.
Any other discussion? All right, Mr. Raymond, you still on your motion to adjourn?
Sorry, Mr.
So
Raymond.
moved.
All right. All right, second?
Second.
All those in favor, get up and run out. Thank you.